I've been on YouTube for a long time. My YouTube channel is over a decade old at this point, but I've been watching YouTube for far longer than that. Watching all of the thousands of videos that I have over those many years has given me some perspective of this ever-changing landscape. I'm probably going to sound like Unc when I say this, but I remember times where creators could post literally anything on YouTube without fear of getting copyright claimed or getting a strike on their channel. That period of time was also cool because all of the YouTubers we watched weren't super rich or anything, or at least they didn't seem like they were. Not that they don't necessarily deserve it now, but the parasocial relationship felt a lot more personal. Honestly, that was one of my biggest issues with old YouTube, is that there was definitely a normalization of parasocial relationships that we don't have anymore. I mean, before JSchlatt uploaded his I'm Not Your Friend video, everyone just kind of pretended like they knew their viewers personally, and it was kind of a problem, honestly. I'm not necessarily condoning parasocial relationships, as I don't think they're necessarily that healthy, but at the time it made YouTube a lot more enjoyable to me. At the time, I was also living in the Middle East, and as an American kid, I was kind of an outcast from my schoolmates. That just provided all the more reason for me to appreciate my favorite American YouTubers, because I didn't get to see much of American culture, as weird as that sounds. Fast forward a few years and my family moved back to the US. During that time, I kind of experienced culture shock in that people just kind of acted differently in America than the Middle East. And some of the cultural expectations were different. Like where I had lived in the Middle East, there was this thing where like when boys got haircuts, you would slap them on the back of the neck and say nice haircut. And I'm pretty sure I did that here to one of my friends at the time, and he got really pissed off. As a result of the culture shock, I watched a lot of YouTube at the time as well, because I was getting bullied at school for being socially awkward. Although I guess everyone's socially awkward in middle school, so I might just be victim blaming, but whatever, this is my video. Let's fast forward a few years and get into the pandemic times. I was just starting high school when I got the news that we'd have to lock up in our homes for a few weeks. A few weeks turned into a month, which turned into a few months, and but by the end of freshman year, we were back to somewhat in-person classes. During the lockdown, there were times I would be watching YouTube videos during class and not really paying attention because I didn't really care a lot about school at the time. Not only did that end up being detrimental to my learning, but my content addiction was just getting worse and worse because of it. This was also around the time where TikTok started becoming popular and short-form content wasn't just a thing for cringy music videos anymore. I actually posted some TikToks that year, but I guess they must have not appealed to people because they got like no views. Anyway, with the rise of short-form content, myself and pretty much any other kid in the US got instantly hooked. Me and my friends would watch hours of TikToks every day, and I could just feel my brain cells melting away, and I loved it. I don't feel like OG TikTok was filled with as much brain rot at that point, but I don't think watching that much of anything is really healthy, to be honest. And if I'm being honest, I'm not much better at managing my screen time now as I was then, but hey, I'm working on it. Kind of. Over the next few years, I tried deleting TikTok a few times, but whenever I deleted TikTok, I would just go to Reels. And then when I deleted Instagram, all of a sudden I would watch YouTube Reels. When I deleted YouTube, I would watch Snapchat Reels, and it kind of became clear to me that I wasn't just going to be able to brute force break the habit. But something unexpected kind of started happening over the last few years that I think is really interesting. Aside from YouTube Shorts, YouTube has really been pushing longer form content to its users. I remember when I started watching YouTube, it was a big deal if you saw a video that was 20 minutes. But nowadays, I mean, have you seen Pyrocynical's channel? The last few videos have been mostly over an hour. And the latest one is actually 8 hours. And I watched the whole thing. It was a great video. Check it out if you haven't. Also, speaking of checking out, if you like the video, you should definitely hit the subscribe button and like, and also hit the bell. Thanks. For me personally, this switch to longer form content over the years has been really healthy for me because I wasn't shoveling 5-second AI slop down my throat anymore. Instead, I was watching video essays on topics that were equally as unproductive in my life, but at least I could remember what I was watching. I mean, does anyone really remember the TikToks they watch? I watch so much TikTok and I can't think of a single one I watched today. I remember when I was younger and watching earlier YouTube videos, I would sometimes hear my favorite creators say that they were scared YouTube wasn't going to be a job for much longer. Those same creators today have literal billions of views on their channel and have more money than most people can even fathom. I just recently watched JSchlatt's saying goodbye video, and in it he repeatedly brags about how he's met all of his monetary goals, even the most extravagant ones, which is, I think that's just a funny way of saying that he's rich. I mean, I love JSchlatt's videos as much as the next guy, but just say you're rich, bro. You're done with YouTube anyways, who cares? At the time, watching those YouTubers complain about how they thought YouTube was going to die was worrying for me because I was a kid and thought they were my actual friends. And actually, on a side note, real quick, one thing I will say about the ever-changing landscape of the internet is that recently I've seen a lot of people calling out these toxic parasocial relationships, and there's been a lot of conversation about it that's helped me enjoy content with less toxicity, which has been nice. But as time has passed and more people watch YouTube, it's kind of become evident that it's not really a question of will YouTube stopped being viable anymore, especially after what many people have called the Mr. Beastification of YouTube. Mr. Beast is the most popular channel on YouTube. He has hundreds of millions of subscribers, over 100 billion views, and even a theme park apparently. If you're watching this video, chances are you've seen his videos and are just as equally enthralled as the rest of the internet. Not to be the I've been there since 10 subs guy, but I do remember when Mr. Beast only had about 1 million subscribers. He was doing similar content to now, but on a much smaller scale. It's honestly no surprise to me that he very quickly overtook PewDiePie as the most subscribed to channel, because his content was innovative and different at the time. I noticed that when I was watching it that his videos always had my full attention, which is uncommon, and I always tuned in whenever one of his videos popped up in my recommended. Little did I know at the time, this up-and-coming channel would have serious implications for YouTube as a website and the content I'd be watching over the next few years. As people saw Jimmy's popularity, there were instantly hundreds of copycats. To this day, people are making videos off of the trends that he sets. Because of the copycats, Mr. Beast videos' editing style and content aesthetic were copied by almost every kind of YouTuber there is. It didn't matter what genre or kind of content was being uploaded, every popular video had a very similar aesthetic, namely edited subtitles, the personality asking viewers to watch to the end, and every new video had the person's face in the thumbnail reacting to the content of the video. Jimmy had essentially given people a roadmap for guaranteed success on YouTube, and during this period we saw a rise to some very big channels. A lot of people hate on the Mr. Beastification of YouTube, and it's understandable. Most of the people that do hate are older channels like Jacksepticeye, who famously claimed Mr. Beast ruined YouTube. But how does Mr. Beast's format hold up these days? Well, he is no doubt the most popular channel on the platform, but I think his style of content is moving away from being the end-all be-all of content. Not that he's going to fall off or anything, I think it's safe to say that he's too big to fail at this point, but rather I think Mr. Beast's style of content is moving to be more of a genre in of itself than being the only valid content anymore on YouTube. There are plenty of channels who offer content almost completely opposite to Jimmy, like Charlie or Penguin Zero. I'm not sure how to say his name, honestly. His content is not even half an hour most of the time, but he manages to grow his channel year by year, and people do watch it. Not only are his videos short, but they don't really have any fancy editing, titles, subtitles, thumbnails. People just enjoy what he has to put out. To be honest, this kind of content gives me a lot of hope for the future and makes me think many of the things that me and other people on the internet find frustrating about the internet aren't necessarily here to stay. Something that you hear a lot growing up is that history repeats itself. While this can be true, it is especially true in the case of YouTube. Growing up, I remember seeing YouTube poops being some of the most popular videos on the platform, and I see a lot of people my age getting upset at what content kids are watching, but we were being fed the same slop in our algorithms when we were their age. I don't think anyone's trying to pretend like Binge Bill tries Fent was what we needed to be watching when we were kids, but I do think it's important to point out because I don't think the golden age of YouTube was exactly the puppies and rainbows we remember it to be. I just think there might be some nostalgia factor at play there. Well, another thing I think is important to talk about with the progression of the internet, culture, and media is content addiction. They're coming for every second of your life was a clip from 2022 that circulated from the rant the internet sensation Bo Burnham had in an interview. He goes on to explain that since all of the big social media platforms went public, their goals have been to grow and expand. At this point, nearly everybody in the world uses the internet in some capacity, but if everyone uses the internet, what other growth can a social media company have? Well, they have to buy up more and more of your time by keeping you constantly addicted to their content. This is why we've seen most video sharing platforms add short form content, which is the most addictive content, over the past few years. I'm talking about YouTube Shorts, Snapchat, Instagram Reels, and even Facebook Reels, which I don't know if anyone uses, but they're here nonetheless. The fact of the matter is that this is really harmful for the next generation of humans. I'll be the first to say that despite what I thought when I was younger, it certainly was those damn phones. I mean, when was the last time you or your family sat down at a dinner table? I'm personally almost always watching some kind of media with my meals. Or when was the last time you did the dishes without some Rhett and Link being funny for X minutes compilation? For at least part of this video, I wanted to talk about some good that's happened because of the internet and social medias and YouTube. One of the biggest impacts it's had is on art. That includes writing, visual art, music, to name a few. Historically, in order for an artist to become popular, especially music artists, they had to be picked up by some big company who would take their music and put it on billboards, radio stations, and television. Nowadays, artists are given the choice to self-promote on social media, taking their exposure into their own hands. You could say that what's more true is that social media companies are more in control of what becomes popular, which is true to an extent, but I prefer this system to the old one because in the old one, artists would not only be artistically compromised sometimes, but oftentimes they wouldn't even see most of the profits from the record sales. When it comes to visual art, the internet has provided itself to be a place in which artists can use their talents to reach an audience and even get support for their art. That is, until very recently. I think that it's probably safe to say that we've all come across some kind of AI slop slop on our feeds. And I don't think most people think about it very much. I've even seen some videos I thought were pretty funny that unfortunately turned out to be AI generated. But despite the harmless demeanor, AI content poses a serious risk to any human talent on the internet. The first wave of AI content was really just language learning models and image generators. I'm sure you're aware of the epidemic of kids using LLMs to do their homework for them, but when it comes to visual artists, we might see image generators slowly weed out that job market entirely if we don't do anything about it. And unfortunately, it's not just slop on the internet anymore either. Real marketing companies have been using AI to do more and more for their advertisements. You can see this in some of the Skechers' new posters, for example, but you can also see some of it here on YouTube. You might have even noticed most ads for new companies or apps on YouTube have their own music that helps promote their product. Well, I can't tell you for certain that it's AI generated. What I can tell you is that through my years watching YouTube, I've never seen this much music with ads I was given on the videos I've watched. And as a little cherry on top of the slop milkshake, I wanted to quickly address the content saturation. Aside from artists posting their stuff online, content creators' jobs are being threatened by AI as well. There's so much AI slop on short-form content apps that it's essentially unavoidable at this point. I think a lot of content here on YouTube especially goes under the radar because you can't always tell that it's AI generated. There have been a lot of AI generated commentary videos over the past few months, to the point where I don't know if I should even try to keep posting these videos because I don't know if I'll have any chance when compared to the hundreds of slop commentary videos that will weed me out just because of their sheer numbers. To be honest, when I started writing the script for this video, I didn't think it would turn into an AI hate rant. I do think AI has some valid applications, but overall, I think in its current state, there's a lot of harm it can do. One thing I will say is that at the very least, people in my demographic share the kind of same sentiment, I guess. I don't know. And hey, if you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. I hope you got some insight into the progression of social media over the past decade. But if you got anything out of the video at all, I consider that a success too. If you liked the video, make sure to like and subscribe and all those boring YouTube things, and have a good one.